So we broke a story this morning. We got some intel on the Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen divorce. We found out, now you know. I mean, it's now widely reported that they're divorced. It is a done deal.
Like that. We filed it this morning, and then a couple hours later, it was finalized.
And here's why. We know what happened here. That Tom and Gisele have been working with their lawyers pretty much the month of October, and maybe before, but we know the month of October, to hammer out a property settlement agreement and a child custody agreement. That they did that, and they did it privately with a mediator. This happens with a lot of celebrities, where they don't want to go through the court process because they're all public documents. So what they want to do is hash it all out, argue when they argue, and then when it's all done and settled, then they officially file for divorce, which they did today. And it was an uncontested divorce. They both agreed to this.
She filed, we should be clear, she filed. Tom did not contest because they had already worked it all out.
Now, we are told that this, they've been very civilized publicly about this. Privately, in these negotiations, at least with the lawyers, we're told it got really contentious and even bitter at times. Now, sometimes that happens without the clients involved.
Right.
Where
the lawyers may just not get along, and they may.
But most of the time,
it's a reflection?
It's a reflection of how amicable the divorce actually is. Now, they're saying it was amicable.
And interestingly, they both released statements, not a joint statement.
Which is significant.
I think so, because usually when you put out one statement just to show as evidence of how amicable things are. But separate statements. Gisele's is the one that is really interesting because she says, the decision to end a marriage is never easy, but we have grown apart.
That's interesting.
And while it is, of course, difficult to go through something like this, I feel blessed for the time we had together and only wish the best for Tom always.
Now,
he said similar things about wishing her the best, but
never
he didn't
talked
give
about
an explanation.
Why. Yeah, never said why. She's saying they've grown apart. Now, a lot of people think that this has to do with the fact that he retired and then unretired for football, and that was
it is definitely
part of it.
Yes.
But, and we've reported this before, this is not, it's deeper than that, and that she has actually walked out several times over the years and threatened to file for divorce. So it's not like this just happened with the Buccaneers.
But it may have been just the straw
that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. And we've known that this was going to happen. They've been talking to divorce attorneys. Obviously, they've been negotiating. But it's still surreal to me. I mean, this is truly one of, if not the biggest couple in not just sports, but in entertainment, period. And the fact that after 13 years of marriage, after having 2 children together, it's just... I know it's real, but it's almost hard to believe that Tom and Gisele are no more together.
Is it really affecting, I know a lot of football fans have been saying this, that going through all this is affecting Tom. In fact, they lost
last night. And he didn't look, and he looks,
he looked really sad when he walked off the field.
I watched the game last night, and not only did he lose, which is always upsetting to Tom, he's the ultimate winner, he looks haggard, he looks gaunt. It looks like the wear of this has really sort of shown on him physically. He is downtrodden because he decided to play this extra year of football, and I think expected that he would be successful, but to have your marriage fall apart and for the plan to play a successful season fall apart all at once, it's really sort of a changing fortunes on a dime.
Yeah, now look, we do not know the terms of this settlement because, and this is very typical,
it's the reason they do this ahead of time.
That's right.
Right.
And well, although sometimes they've actually released it. We've actually been surprised when they do it. This is sealed. So what they're doing is they're filing just a very short document which just essentially says they're divorced. But the document that gets into the nitty-gritty of child custody, who gets the kids when, the property settlement, whether there's a prenup or not, all of that stuff is confidential and sealed.
Harvey, and think they're building this big compound in Florida that was
They
partially
are not building it anymore.
Yeah, like what happens
one
with
of them
that?
is building it now.
Yeah, like there's obviously a lot of assets here that they had to break up. It's interesting. I mean, you have to remember too, Tom Brady has a third child with Bridget Moynihan that is a sibling to their other two children. What happens with that baby? There is just so much that has to happen.
They're no babies at this point.
Yeah, they're not
Right,
babies.
they're not babies.
Yeah, he's like a teenager.
They're not babies. They're grown. They're not adults, but yeah, not babies. Not babies.
But the point you're making is good, because it's true that when there are blended families, you have to juggle all of that, because you can't just say, okay, well, the kid I had with Bridget is now separate from the other two kids. You can't do that. So it is going to require some juggling. I've talked to somebody who's really close to him and has talked to him, about what's going on. He is really, and I'm not saying she's not, but just I know from his point of view, he's really a committed parent. And it's real important to him. So,
I hear that, but you also, he's the same person who 2 weeks ago said that during the football season, he's laser focused on only that.
Now, which
makes it difficult to.
What I was told may be wrong, but I was told.
No, it may be true.
Well,
I just think that during the football season.
I'll tell you why. I was told he will fly to see his kids even in the middle of it. I don't think he makes a big deal of it, but he will fly just to see them even in the middle of this. I know that doesn't align with the statement, but anyway, that's what I was told.
Hey y'all, this is Candy calling in from Dallas. I know Harvey had mentioned that nobody knows the specific details of why they're getting a divorce, but I have a theory. I think it's all behind Antonio Brown. If you remember, about a year or two ago, Tom Brady told Antonio Brown that he could come and stay with him. How do we know that Antonio Brown and Gisele weren't having an affair? Haven't you seen those videos of her all up on him on the field? You know what they say, once you go black, you never go back. So that ruined her marriage.
I think you're believing the Photoshopped Antonio Brown photos a little too much.
Yeah.
That's a theory, I guess. I would put that in the conspiracy theory.
I would put that in the kind of wacko conspiracy theory.